When you're a teacher, you often find yourself in situations that can be a bit frustrating. For instance, you start your class and a student walks in late, disrupts the class while taking a seat, fools around and talks loudly. When you ask them to sit quietly, they respond with arrogance. What's your initial reaction? Get irritated? Hand out punishments? Maybe even put them in their place using your words? Intervening to address improper behavior is certainly appropriate. But is it the only option? This situation is actually an excellent opportunity to practice something called mentalization, an important concept for relationships. I understand that mentalization sounds a bit complex, but the idea is simpler than it seems. Essentially, mentalizing means being curious. It means pondering what might be behind the behavior and asking why. Are there any clues that something else might be influencing their behavior? As a teacher, you won't always be able to pinpoint what's going on, and you don't need to know or understand everything. What truly matters is making an effort and taking the time to show genuine interest in your students. So what does it look like in your day-to-day? Let's revisit the earlier example. Your student is disrespectful, openly challenges you in front of everyone and doesn't seem to listen. You might interpret this as arrogance and provocation, which understandably makes you angry, and you might even want to reprimand them or put them down in front of others. Before reacting too strongly, why not try stepping into their shoes and considering a few possibilities? They are not usually this arrogant. Maybe they are going through something tough right now. Perhaps things aren't great at home. Maybe you noticed them being humiliated by another student yesterday, and that could explain their behavior today. Suddenly, you see things differently and you are less inclined to respond by putting them down. Often, if you simply ask a teenager, "Why are you behaving this way?" they may have trouble answering. So it's very useful for the adult to show interest in their experience and help them make sense of their behavior. You can do this by acknowledging their emotional state, saying something like, "You don't seem quite yourself today." Delving into the potential underlying causes, asking questions such as, "Is something happening at home?" and being available to talk. As a teacher, you can be a role model for your students and play a significant role in their development. Just taking the time to ask a student how they're doing with kindness and genuine interest can definitely change your relationship. The idea is not to psychoanalyze a teenager, but simply to show that you care. Mentalizing also involves being able to take a step back and assess your own feelings. For example, if a student is being unpleasant, disrupting the class, and showing no interest in what you're saying, you might react too strongly because deep down you feel humiliated. Being able to put words to your own experience is a good start. When we're overwhelmed by our emotions, the part of our brain that serves as our alarm system activates. We don't think very clearly, we tend to dwell on things and create scenarios. When this happens, it's a good idea to take a break, a moment to calm down, and let things settle. Then you can take a minute to reflect. It's important to remember that adolescence is a challenging phase. It's the moment when we define our identities. Taking the time to ask questions and being curious will help you and your student understand what's happening, improve relationships, cool down emotions, and adjust behaviors. Most importantly, it will show the student that they are being seen and taken seriously, which will give them a sense of importance. Teenagers might appear not to care, but they most often do. However, there are some pitfalls to avoid, such as being overly confident in your assumptions, saying things like, "They did this because," attributing thoughts or intentions to them, or letting your emotions take over, especially in tense situations. Mentalization also requires being available. Seeking professional help is also perfectly acceptable when you feel the situation becomes too complicated. Mentalization isn't an overnight solution. It's an approach that needs to be developed on a daily basis. Teachers who take the time to be curious build better relationships with their students and with themselves. There's also a good chance the classroom atmosphere will improve, and students may eventually apply these principles to their own lives.